Paris is a dream city for honeymooners. We'd been there for 2 weeks, seeing the sights and sitting at sidewalk cafes. But our time was limited, and we wanted to see Rome, too. We saw an ad in the Paris edition of the Herald Tribune. We'd heard about Linea-Bus from some friends, that it was a wonderful service and just about the most pleasant way possible to see the country. Still, we thought we ought to see the coach for ourselves. So Joan and I went to the terminal, where a hostess greeted us and showed us her modern coach. She called our attention to the large windows, and we were charmed by the idea of a refrigerator for cold drinks on board. But it was the welcome of the comfortable seats that sold us. A few days later, we were on our way to Rome, watching the panorama of the French countryside as it unrolled past our picture window. Our hostess, who spoke 5 languages, told us bits from the fascinating history of Auxerre on the River Yonne, crowned by its cathedral from the Middle Ages. The Old Mill Inn at Vermentone, with its outdoor restaurant, is known as one of the finest eating places on the road from Paris to Geneva. We ate a delicious meal under the trees by the placid mill stream. After lunch, our route followed the Canal of Burgundy and then up the foothills of the Jura Mountains. Late in the afternoon, we arrived at Champagnat, where our lodging for the night was the delightful Hotel Ripoteau. There was time for tennis on the hotel courts. Neither of us is very good at it, but we had fun anyway. In the morning, breakfast was served in the garden. Then the coach started its climb up through the high pastures and quaint mountain villages of the Juras. As we crossed into Switzerland, Lake Geneva greeted us. At the end of the lake is the city of Geneva, famous as the home of the League of Nations. This monument to Woodrow Wilson symbolizes a peaceful universe. Lake Geneva becomes the Rhone River in the very heart of the city. Geneva is most famous for watches. There are dozens of shops, and beautiful Swiss watches cost less than half their price at home. Our tickets allowed us the choice of coach or boat passage to Montreux. Our paddle wheel steamer left Geneva for a 4-hour cruise up the lake. We glided past ancient forts and medieval towns. It was a peaceful trip, so placid in fact that I dozed in the warm sun. Joan, who never misses a thing, woke me to point out the terraced vineyards near Lausanne. Be sure to take plenty of film when you make this trip. Like everyone else, we used twice as much as we'd planned. And why not? The scenery on this part of the trip is among the most spectacular we've ever seen. In the distance was the Chateau of Chillon, made famous by Byron's poem about the prisoner, kept in an underwater dungeon here for 7 years. At Montreux, we left the boat. Here we rejoined our coach to leave Lake Geneva and go up the valley of the Rhone River toward the Simplon Pass. We climbed first through alpine villages and then through the tilted fields, which as you get higher are called Alps. The mountains of Switzerland get their names from these high pastures. Especially on this part of the trip, we were glad that we had competent, experienced drivers. We focused our attention on the scenery while they concentrated on the road. After rising 4,000 feet in 14 miles, we reached the summit of the pass, where we stopped for scenery and afternoon tea. We had done our mountain climbing the easy way, into the sky-high pastures where the herdsmen graze their brown Swiss cattle in the summertime. As we went south, we went down. The arrangements to cross the Italian frontier, handled as usual by the hostess, took only a few minutes, so we arrived at the Hotel Milano in Stresa soon after leaving the pass. No one who goes to Stresa should miss a trip to the Barmi Isles, just offshore in Lago Maggiore. The hostess suggested that we would find the island of the fishermen, Isola Pescatori, the loveliest of these enchanted islands. So we returned to Stresa. After traveling through the villages on the shore of Lake Maggiore, we sped along the Autostrade, the express highway. Soon after lunch, we passed through Genoa, birthplace of Columbus, one of Italy's great ports. Then along the cliffside highway above the resort, the Italian Riviera. Many places, the road becomes an avenue of flowers as it winds down to sea level, the glamorous Rapallo. Through Olive Grove. In late afternoon, we arrived at Sestri Levante. Above the town is the castle. Today, it's a beautiful hotel. Here we dined and spent the night. Early next morning, we took a swim from the hotel beach. Breakfast was served in the Rose Garden. The road south wandered through the coastal mountains and past hilltop villages. Our next destination was a town outstanding in the history of the scientific world. Galileo used its principal landmark in his early experiments. We had come to Pisa. this tower, Galileo dropped his weight. The tower leaned even then, almost as much as it does today. The building itself is the Cathedral of Pisa. Having lunched at Pisa, we drove along the coast for some time, turning inland to Civita Vecchia. We passed the ruins of one of the great aqueducts that once served the Eternal City. We had come a long way with our congenial companions, and it was with real regret that we said goodbye to the hostess and drivers who had made our trip so pleasant. Most of the sights of Rome are close together. The Victor Emmanuel Monument of Piazza Venezia is only a few steps from the Forum, Cicero and Caesar. It's only a few minutes' walk from the Forum to the Colosseum, the huge oval stadium in which gladiators fought and martyrs were thrown to the lions. The entire arena could be flooded through these underground channels so that naval battles could be staged before thousands of spectators. We got an impression of the huge size of the Colosseum when we noticed a man moving in the distance, dwarfed by his surroundings. We saw the Plaza of St. Peter's with its obelisk and its fountains. There are many beautiful fountains in Rome. One of the most interesting is the Trevi Fountain. There's a legend that if you toss a coin into the fountain, you will come back to Rome. Joan missed on her first try, but the young businessman who knew he would fish it out eventually gave her another chance. This time she was lucky. We knew we would come to Rome again by Linibus.